It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live
the Bostonian versus the Book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the Book.
Here he is, Matt Payroll!
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
What's up, Brigade? How are you? Happy Fight Song Friday. Welcome into a new episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. My name is Matt Perrault. We are live on YouTube and X at Boston versus the Book. We are replay on Sports Grid television. I watched the show on Sports Grid last night, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern time for the replay there. Audio, wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. On the show today, we got a lot of football. Opening line, we will take a look at the 4 games divisionally, Saturday, Sunday. We'll make bets on all of them. Things that I think you can look at, you can isolate, and you can look to bet on. It is just the picks combined with the opening line being brought to you by Huel. Stay tuned for that. Baseball, oh my gosh, here we go with the hot stove. Kyle Tucker, yeah. Can the Dodgers stop spending money like it doesn't even matter? The amount of money committed to the Dodgers is unbelievable, but I don't hate it. I can't hate on it. You guys in the chat are wondering, is Matt going to go off on the Dodgers today? I'm not going to go off on the Dodgers today. I don't like what they're doing. I don't think I hate the word fair. Fair is the wrong word. It's frustrating. How about that? That they are capable, willing, have owners who are willing to pay and overpay for talent consistently. The Dodgers have won back-to-back championships. They're going to win a third if they stay healthy. Is that good for baseball? No. Do I want someone to beat them? Of course. But if other owners aren't going to spend, it is an ownership problem. It is a baseball problem. It is not a Dodger problem. And I can't hate on the Dodgers or their fans because I wish my team would do that. I wish the Red Sox would have done what the Mets did today. The Mets signed Bo Bichette. The Red Sox are in desperate need for a bat. They need someone to play second base. They need someone to play third base. They lost Alex Bregman. They traded away their franchise third baseman, shortstop, whatever you want to call Rafael Devers, to bring in Bregman. They played better without him. It was a good move if they were going to keep Bregman. But because Bregman got 5 years from the Cubs, the Red Sox weren't willing to go there. So now the Red Sox are banking on everything with Roman Anthony to be Mike Trout. Like, Roman Anthony better be a top 5 player in the game of baseball, or the Red Sox are going to be a really good pitching team without any offense. They're going to play defense and they're going to pitch. But at Fenway Park, that really hasn't worked. Like, you got to score runs at Fenway Park because your pitching staff is dealing with the wall that's pretty darn close. So, like, there's problems there. We'll get into that. Baseball. It's a Fight Song Friday. Indiana and Miami. We'll take a look at some of the matchups here between two programs that I'm going to ask you guys in the chat. Not just your own fans. I know we got a bunch of Hoosiers that are big-time Brigade members, and I love you all. I mean, look behind me. Like, you know, that's from a guy who's from Indiana, okay? I don't know how many. I think I 5, I think I can name people off the top of my head who are Brigade members that are from either the Indiana area or are Hoosier fans. But your buddies, your friends, your family, people that are not Indiana fans, or people that are not Miami fans, honestly, do they give a flip about this game on Monday? I cannot wait to see the ratings on Monday. I can't wait. This has been the argument. This has been the conversation for so long. for the people that are the quote SEC bias or the media bias people or the brand name blue blood people, that college athletics works when you have a big time program. Indiana, didn't know this before last weekend, but I know it now. Indiana has the largest living alumni base in America. Over 800,000 graduates from Indiana currently live in the country. And they love this story. Do they have enough clout, power, family members to drive it? Well, it did and has when it comes to the ticket prices. Ticket prices are through the roof, but that doesn't mean people at home on Monday night are going to watch. There's nothing else on. It's a standalone. The college football world has completely acquiesced to the NFL and said, we're not doing anything Friday night. They could do it Friday night, but we're not doing it Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, NFL, you own it. We're out. We're not touching it. We'll play Monday night when there's nothing going on. It's a smart move. It's a good TV move. But do people want to watch Indiana and Miami play for a national championship? We're going to find out. We're not the best people to gauge. Clearly, we love sports. We love gambling. We're going to do both coming on Monday night. But what about the rest of the country? So we will do that coming up here on the program. So we're loaded. A lot of football, a lot of baseball. We start the show as we do every time with the opening line. It is the opening line being brought to you by our friends at Huel. If you guys haven't checked this out, you guys can do so with the limited time offer. It will change in February. There will be a different offer coming to you on February. So if you haven't taken advantage of this, if you like this idea of getting 5 ready-to-drink shakes plus the protein powder for 20% off with new customers, the code is BBB20. This is going away at the end of the month. So February, there'll be a different offer. If you are watching on either Sports Grid or YouTube or X, you can take your phone out and point it right at that QR code, and it will take you directly to the offer for Huel. A reminder that this is about losing weight, getting more protein, eating healthier, on the go, busy people. It's difficult to eat right. It's difficult to eat healthy. 35 grams of protein in the ready-to-drink shakes, 40 grams of protein with the protein powder. Both have 27 essential vitamins and minerals. Both have no artificial sweeteners. Both are vegan. Both are gluten-free. Check out Huel. I did not drink it this morning. This morning, I did not do that. I did not have a shake today, but most mornings, I do either have one of the pre-made or a shake I will make myself for Huel. Thank you for Huel for sponsoring BVB and being a part of the brigade. 2 different things, because we're making bets, right? We're making picks. We got to make bets. Divisional schedule. In case you don't know, here it is. You got CBS for the Broncos hosting the Bills, Fox on the late night for the West Coast game, the Seahawks hosting the 49ers. Then on Sunday, it's on big ABC, ESPN as well. You get multi-channel, multi-broadcast for the Patriots hosting the Texans. And then NBC has the nightcap to freeze their tails off in Chicago for the Bears and the Rams. This weekend is going to be so much fun. There's so many good games. I cannot wait. I'm going to eat so poorly. I'm going to sit for 2 days. I'm going to try to work out both Saturday and Sunday morning because I know I'm going to eat like crap. I'm going to watch so much football. I'm going to watch every second to soak up the next 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, because this is it. All right, guys, this is the last weekend. This is the last big weekend of college football, NFL football. This is it. We're not going to get this again until August, really until September. So for me, this is like a goodbye. This is like my life changes so dramatically right after this weekend, because there are 2 games left in the NFL. There's no games left in college football. And we have 3 games left in total for the football season 25-26. So you have to enjoy this. Multiple games on Saturday, multiple games on Sunday, 1 game on Monday. Whatever the wife or girlfriend, whatever the significant other is going to ask you to do this weekend, get it done in the morning. Okay? Like, just stack the day appropriately, right? Get it all done so you can go ahead and do what you need to do, which is just, honey, this is the last time I'm getting to do this until the fall. Okay. You have the all spring time. You got the whole summer to tell me what to do, to rake the leaves or to change out the light bulbs or whatever we got to do to get the house where you want it to be. Do it in the morning. And then you got to enjoy it, because my gosh, these are the weekends that if you have a bankroll and you have done well, hopefully you've been smart with your bankroll. You get to this weekend. This is when you could be a little aggressive and have some fun. Let's make some bets. All right, let's start with the Bills at the Broncos. Number flipped, right? So it opened with the Bills being the favorite. It then flipped out, and it's not. Now the Broncos are now the favorite, okay? So look, there's trend data all over the place, and there's a lot of really interesting things going on about the fact that people are poking holes in the record of Bo Nix and saying, hey, if Bo Nix has to score more than 17 points, Bo Nix is really going to struggle. And if this game is a shootout, because the Bills offense might make it so, there's no way for the Broncos to win this game. I'm just really, really surprised by this. People are forgetting about Sean Payton's record on extended rest. This guy is a really good coach. In the playoffs, is a really good coach, okay? When he has extra time to prep for an opponent, he's never lost, okay? He's 4-0. 2-2 against the number. And maybe the Broncos don't cover the 1.5 point line now at certain books. But I'm taking the Broncos on the money line to win this game for a couple of different reasons. I just look at the Bills defense, and I'm not scared if I'm the Broncos. I think I can run the ball at will, and I think I'm going to be able to do play action and throw the ball down the field. I think this is a huge game for Bo Nix running the football. I think the Broncos have got to be comfortable with taking any type of restraints off of Bo Nix and allowing him to pick up first downs and allowing him to run the football, even designed runs for Bo Nix. Don't get away from the run. This is what the Jags did in the second half. They got away from running the football. They got sped up. They got nervous, okay? Hopefully, with the history of Sean Payton in the playoffs, hopefully this team, the Broncos, will be more calm if they get down in the second half and go, look, we've been here before. The Broncos have been the cardiac kids of the AFC. While everyone's talking about the Bears and how the Bears have come back multiple times in crazy comebacks, the Broncos equally. The Giants game alone was ridiculous. They have done things at home where they have just put together drive after drive after drive to come back and win games. So if you're a Bronco fan, the hope is that your coach runs the heck out of the football. And don't worry so much about if you have to run the ball, even when you're down. That's not that big of a deal. Okay. The Broncos as underdogs, 4-1 against the spread this year. The Broncos as favorites went 3-9 ATS. That is not good. Okay. With an ATS projection or percentage that went 7-10, that's 42%. When you're looking at 42%, Denver will be the third team to have a bye in the divisional round with an ATS record of 42%. It last happened with the Chiefs in 22-23. They won the Super Bowl. In 92-93, the Dolphins, they lost in the divisional round in this game. So not a lot of track record to look at, but Sean Payton as a head coach in the playoffs is not great against numbers. He's only 7-11 as a head coach. At home, Sean Payton is 7-3 straight up. He has gone 1-3 over his last 4 games in the postseason. Josh Allen is going to have to do what Josh Allen did last week, which is be Superman. He's going to have to do, he is the running game. He is the most dangerous person on the field, and they've got to make his life difficult. I thought the Jaguars defense did enough to win the game. The Jaguars defense got a little bit banged up late and give up some big plays late. And I thought losing Brandon Cooks on that last drive was just inexcusable. Like I don't think the Broncos make that big of a mistake. like the Jags did. I do think this is a coin flip game late, but I'm expecting that Broncos defense to make the plays that the Jaguars defense did not make last week, and the Jaguars will wind up, the Broncos will wind up victorious here in this game. The Broncos and the Bills rematch last year. Buffalo beat Denver 31-7 last year. Since 2004, there have been just 3 playoff rematches of teams that faced each other in the playoffs last season and won by 17 points or more. In the rematches, the team that won the previous season, undefeated. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread. In case you're wondering about year-to-year track record, Denver is going to have to play their best game. Buffalo's not going in there and laying down, okay? Buffalo's not going to go and expect to lose this game. Buffalo expects to win, and there's a lot of people in the betting space that agree that until further notice, the best quarterback left in these playoffs is Josh Allen, and they're comfortable backing the best quarterback each week. Last week, Trevor Lawrence against Josh Allen, not a fair fight. It was all Josh Allen. Even with the fact that Trevor Lawrence had the football in his hands with a chance to go down and kick a game-tying field goal with the biggest leg kicker in the NFL, and he threw a pick over the middle on a ball that was completely inexcusable. Like, you cannot force a football over the middle in that moment, in that game. That is what Bo Nix cannot do. Bo Nix cannot try to force things against this defense. The Bills' pass defense is good. As you saw last week, it's good. You can't force it. You got to take what the defense is giving you, which sometimes is running the football. And sometimes just be conservative, just methodically go down the field, get into field goal range, and then tie the game, go to overtime, and see what happens. That game should have gone to OT. But because of the quarterback and the uneasiness of Trevor Lawrence, that's why that game did not go into overtime. Game number 2 on Saturday puts us to Seattle, where the Seahawks are laying 7 against the 49ers. The total is 45.5. According to BetMGM, the most heavily bet game and side so far is the 49ers plus 7. The public has been awful this year, guys. Has been awful. You got to be real careful with backing the public this year. It's just not been a good situation. The 49ers are either 7 or 7.5 point dogs. If the line holds, it's the second biggest underdog for the 49ers in their playoff history. They were catching 10.5 points against Washington in 84. They lost by 3. They were catching 7.5 this weekend, or 7 against the Vikings in 1970, and they won the game 17-14. You just don't see numbers like this in the playoffs. Why? Well, on the road in Seattle, Brock Purdy is 4-0 straight up and 4-0 against the spread with the 49ers. He's been pretty good, And so you look at what he's been capable of doing, it's been impressive. I look at Sam Darnold, 6-point favorite or more. He's 13-0 straight up, 10-3 against the spread. But when you look at what this team can do, this Seahawk defense, what they're capable of doing, I don't think there's much to this handicap. I just don't. I think Robert Saleh is a tremendous defensive coach, and I think he had an awesome game plan last week for the 49ers, and their defense just played incredibly well. I just don't trust them to be able to stop Sam Darnold and company again. I just don't think that's going to happen. And when you look at the 49ers have had insane success against the Seahawks, but that 4-0 mark, I can't go back to week 1. I can't say, okay, 17-13, the win in Seattle for the Niners. That was a totally different 49ers team. Totally different 49ers team than what we're seeing coming up here. They're just too banged up. They're just too banged up. The Darnold thing, he has no oblique injury. Okay. Come on. shoot that up and go play. Like that, I don't think that's going to matter all that much. I really don't. I mean, maybe if he gets hit directly on it, it might factor in. But the 4-0 mark for Purdy, they got destroyed in week 18. I mean, they were at home. That was for the division. That was for home field advantage. That was to have a chance to never get on a plane for the rest of the season if you're the 49ers. The Super Bowl is being played in your building, and they got worked. Like that wasn't even a game. They got killed. And that was with, for at least half the game, George Kittle. So, like, you have no George Kittle. And again, unbelievable season. Amazing job by Kyle Shanahan. Amazing coaching job. I just cannot back the 49ers. I have a 14-1 ticket on the 49ers. I have a 14-1 ticket on Seattle. If I'm being honest, I want Seattle to win the game for that reason, because Seattle will play at home against whomever wins between the Bears and the Rams. And I think the 11 straight playoff games won, or would be 11 straight playoff games won if they win against the 49ers. You're heading into a team that's red hot at home in the playoffs, the 1 seed with a chance to just basically go down, quick flight from Seattle down to San Francisco. And you'll see the entire state of Washington basically, come down to San Francisco to be a part of this. Mike McDonald's a really good coach away from home. He hasn't been great at home. And that's my one fear. My one fear is I'm dangerous. It's dangerous on that, to be quite honest. So I'll be very curious to see what happens here for the Seahawks. I'll lay the 7 points though. I'll lay the 7 points and I'll take Seattle -7. To Sunday, we go with the Patriots and the Texans at home. Now, this is another game in which I have a future on the Patriots. I will be on the Texans at +3 for a hedge on the 11-1 ticket that I've got for the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. However, let's talk about other bets, other things that you can make. This is a couple interesting things. When a team is on a 10+ game straight up win streak entering a playoff game and they're listed as a dog, they are 0-4 straight up since 2000. Okay. So that's worrisome. That's worrisome. So this is where if you're red hot and you're going to be a dog on the road in the playoffs, what it tells you is you've been beaten up on teams, but now this ends because you were able to go on the road last week and beat a bad Steelers offense. This is a good Patriot offense that's healthy, that should be able to move the football more on the ground than what the Steelers did. And Drake May, obviously playing at a very high level, played poorly last week against the Chargers, but the defense for the Patriots is going to give CJ Stroud fits. Nico Collins is not playing. He didn't practice yesterday. See you later. Christian Gonzalez is not wearing a red jersey anymore at practice. He is playing for the Patriots. That's a huge development of a player in and a player out. However, DeMeco Ryans in the first half is 37-19 as the head coach of the Texans. I think Houston -1 in the first half is actually a pretty good look. I think you can take the Texans to catch one, maybe if the game's tied at half, you wind up getting yourself there, or maybe it's a 7-6 like last week. Texans were up 7-6 on the Steelers. Maybe it's something like that. I don't mind a look for the Houston Texans in the first half to be leading against the Patriots. I would bet the Patriots in the second half if that happens, but I don't mind that angle if you want to take it. The angle that I have bet is the under 41. We talked about this yesterday, and Adam Bjorn was pretty clear. The professionals, at least at BetCris Arizona, the professionals are on the over in the game, mostly because of the weather. I mean, the weather is perfect. Like, it's so frustrating because if the Broncos win and the Patriots win, the Patriots have to go to Denver. And I would have loved, and I do think the Broncos win, but Mother Nature just did not show up the way I thought Mother Nature was going to show up for the Patriots in January. It's nice. It's 45 degrees. Like, I know if you live there, you're like, hey, Matt, hold on. Like, I like it. But I really thought the Patriots would have a big home field advantage when it comes to the weather. Now, Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, and others who were at the building or were in the building for the game against the Chargers referenced that it felt like the 2000s again for the Patriots, that at the end of the Brady era, and I know people are going to hate me saying this, but it's true. The winning had started to create like this laissez-faire type home field advantage for the Patriots. It wasn't nearly like it was in the first dynasty, because there were two dynasties, really, if you want to talk about how the Patriots did it. There was 10 years between the dynasties. Just Brady played them all. But you had the first three championships, 2000, 2002, 2003 seasons, the 01, the 03 and 04 titles for the Patriots. Foxborough was electric in those games. You didn't beat the Patriots. When they won, they were the 1 seed or the 2 seed. When they won their first playoff game, they didn't lose in the next game. They were going, and this was under the old rules of the first top 2 seeds getting buys. But the Patriots, when they had buys, were very, very difficult to beat in Foxborough. They didn't lose many home games. They lost to the Ravens famously with that first run by Ray Rice that went for 80 yards. Like, there were those games, but they were few and far between. So playing at home for the Patriots in Foxborough in January, normally it goes very well. Weather didn't do what I wanted it to do, but I don't think it matters all that much because it's CJ Stroud without Nico Collins. I think the under is the best play in the game. So I'm taking the likely tease this game, take the total up to 47 and go under. You could easily do a teaser with the Bears and the total. I don't mind taking the Bears, more in that game in a second, but the Bears from +4 to +10. Take the Bears there. Take the total from 41 up to 47 and go under. Don't mind that play if you want to have something going on Sunday from a teaser perspective. But Houston in the first half, catching a point isn't bad. I think I put -1, should be +1 or +1.5 for the Texans, catching a point and a half. Texans first half, not a bad look. Then to the under. And then finally, we have the Rams and the Bears. That number 3.5 or 4, depending on the book, what you're looking at, 48.5 from a total perspective. This is really interesting. I think this is a good play. The Bears team total over 21.5. They are 13-5 to their team total over, tied for the best mark. Jaguars went over their team total last week. We talked about that. Rams went over their team total last week. They're also 13-5. People who are betting the under in this game, the only thing that makes sense to me as to why you're betting the under is because of the weather. So this was put out, the models are trending 0 to below 0, somewhere in that range. The coldest game ever played in Chicago was 2 degrees. So while it doesn't look like we're going to get a 2-degree game, it's going to be 8 or 9. It's going to be the coldest game in the career for Matthew Stafford. And whenever I am talking about this, what is so fascinating to me is the number of Ram fans that are quick to defend the Rams in the playoffs rather than getting after Stafford for what happened last year in the second half against the Eagles, a game in which they were outscored in both halves. They gave up over 200 yards rushing to Saquon Barkley after giving up 255 yards rushing to Saquon Barkley in the first matchup, in which they gave up 37 points to that Eagles offense. They then were in the game up until halftime, and then the snow arrived, and they got outscored again, and they couldn't move the football. Matthew Stafford's numbers were impressive. I'm not going to deny that he did throw the football well in that weather, but it wasn't cold in Philadelphia. It was snowing. This is cold. The coldest game in Matthew Stafford's career, he only put up 19 points on offense with the Rams. So you can tell me about Devontae Adams playing in Green Bay, so he's used to the cold. You can tell me about Puka Nacua going and playing all over the country and getting in cold weather, or Matthew Stafford's history of playing in the cold. They just don't have a good track record. Like, it's just there. They don't have a good track record. Does it matter? Not really. It doesn't really matter. The big picture of the whole thing doesn't really matter because you got to go play the game. Go play the game. Okay, both teams are going to be freezing cold. But this is why you play at home, because it was in the 70s all week in Los Angeles this week. And Chicago's been dealing. You live in it. You deal with it. It's cold all the time. You open up the back door to your house to let your dogs out. You're freezing. It's cold. You get in your car. Your car is a block of ice. It sucks to live in the cold. There's no debate. It's awful. Okay. I would much rather be, weather-wise where I am. I open up my garage. I'm like, oh, it's brisk. It's 48 degrees this morning on its way to a high of 65. It's January. Okay. So don't tell me there isn't a certain lifestyle and a certain thing that when you get on the ground, you have to mentally flip to deal with the cold. It is a distraction. So it matters. Okay. It completely and totally matters to me on this. And I know people are talking about the under in this game, but I don't bet the under when it comes to cold. I just don't. Okay. I'm betting the under when it comes to wind, and the wind is not going to be that breezy. It's going to be a little blustery, but nothing crazy. Like there's going to be gusts that are going to make it cold. Okay. As anybody who's ever grown up in the Northeast or in the Midwest will tell you, that cold temperatures are cold temperatures. You can deal with all of that. It's the damn wind that sucks. It cuts through you, like literally rips you in two. And so if it's not going to be typical windy city, Chicago, and it's just going to be like 15, 20 mile per hour winds, you're going to freeze because of it. But it's not going to impact passes down the field. It's not going to impact kicks. It's not going to have a big deal with the actual game. It's just going to make it uncomfortable. It's going to make the football a rock and very slick, and you might see fumbles and you might see turnovers. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal in terms of the actual game. So that's why the total is 48.5. That's why people have been talking about 51 and betting the under. I don't know. These teams both go over their team total. The team total for the Rams is 26.5. The team total for the Bears is 21.5. I like the bet for the team total over for the Bears, but I'll take the 4 points. I'll take the Bears +4 in this game and take the team total. Bears team total over 21.5. And I think 4 points is too heavy. Okay. I've been quoting it all week, and Ram fans are pissed off that I keep on quoting the number, but it is true. Okay. Home dogs of 4 points or more in the playoffs over the last 50 years in the NFL are 9-0 against the spread. Does that mean the Bears win? No, it doesn't mean the Bears win, but it might be that the Bears win. Okay. So like, that's just Bears lose, Rams don't cover, right? Win by 3. Can we see the Rams winning the game 27-24? Yep, I can. That's not that. Think about the way the Rams play, right? How about 28-24? It's a push, right? Possible. 24-20. Possible, right? These are all, 23-20. Possible, right? 31-28. Possible. These are all scores that make sense as to how it might go down for this game. I think Caleb will be able to move the ball. I do. It might take him a bit, but I think the Rams, who on the road, the Rams have been a different team defensively. They just give up more points than what they normally do, which is not that abnormal, right? That's somewhat typical for teams on the road. But the Rams gave up 27 points to the Falcons on the road, 38 points to the Seahawks on the road, 31 points to the Panthers on the road, 26 points to the 49ers on the road. I mean, they give up points. Okay. They give up points, and you can't underestimate the emotion that's going to be in this game for what Ben Johnson, who has now become the most hated coach in football, for Ben Johnson's treatment of Matt LaFleur. Because as we heard this week from Sean McVay, he's been going over film with Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur is from his coaching tree. They are very close. They are good friends. LaFleur clearly hates Ben Johnson for the handshake, and I hate those guys comment, bleep the Packers, all the things that the Bears have done. And I thought my coworker at Betting Pros is Pat Fitzmaurice, who's I love Pat to death. I do a show every Tuesday with him, and he is a Packer fan living in Chicago. So he is behind enemy lines. He made such a really interesting comment to me off air about the Bear fan and the Packer fan kind of coexisting, that up until this year, really, the Packers never worried about the Bears. They were an afterthought. they worried about other teams. They were always looking at the 49ers. They were always looking at the Lions. They were looking at other teams in the NFC to worry about. The Bears were just this little annoying like gnat, like get away from me. And so now they win 2 games that they really probably shouldn't have against the Packers. And the Packers fan now is like, okay, now you got our attention. So let's see what happens next year. Because the onside kick victory was horrific. If Romeo Doubs hangs on to the onside kick, Packers win that game. And they're up by 18 points in the second half. You expect to win that game in the postseason. If you're a Packer fan, you dominated and then you fell apart in the second half. And that's credit to the Bears, because the Bears are similar to the Broncos, that they are never really out of a game. But the Packer fan now having to acknowledge, I would be curious now, Matt LaFleur locks in, starts looking at the Bears, starts focusing on the Bears, and then now he's handing over all that information to one Mr. Sean McVay, who will play in this game. And I will say this, don't underestimate, I won't say it, the bleep you touchdown. The F word's not always that people get mad at that. So I won't say the F word, but you know what I mean. The FU touchdown, okay? If the Rams have a chance to run the score up, it's not to cover the spread, okay? I'm going to say this today on Friday. If we're back on Monday talking about a 10-point victory in the Rams running the ball in with 1 minute to go, and they could have kneeled it out and they could have just taken a knee and gone on their merry way, but instead they put the ball in the end zone, I'm not going to underestimate that possibility if you are going to take the 4 points with the Bears, because that might happen. That might happen. It would make a lot of sense to me if that were to go down in that way. So to recap, if you want to make some plays here, things I like, okay? I like the Broncos on the money line here. I like the Seahawks -7. I like the Patriots, but I got a bunch of things. Houston in the first half and the under. And then Bears +4, but I like the team total over. Bears 21.5 over their team total more. That's a better play than taking +4. So those are the plays I am angling for tomorrow and Sunday for the NFL Divisional Rounds. Let's talk about what happened last night. All right, baseball has been on everyone's brain all of a sudden because Kyle Tucker has signed with the Dodgers, and it's another monster deal. It's another explosive contract and another anger spot as Kyle Tucker, with $30 million deferred, Kyle Tucker's 4-year, $240 million contract will present a present-day tax hike of $57 million to the Dodgers. This means the Dodgers currently have a projected payroll of $413 million tax in 2026. That is $96 million more than any other team in Major League Baseball that will pay the tax on going over the threshold. $96 million more than the Mets. $313 million more, not in payroll, in tax, than the Miami Marlins, who have the lowest payroll at the moment in Major League Baseball. Everyone's asking, is this good for baseball? I don't think it really matters. I think we're asking the wrong question when we're saying, is this good for baseball? Because to me, why aren't other owners doing this? That's my question. My question is, why are the Dodgers the only one willing to go crazy here and spend and acquire talent to go and win? Where are the Yankees? Where are the Red Sox? Where are the Cubs? Where are the other teams that have deep pockets and billionaire owners to go ahead and compete with the Dodgers? Are you all just so comfortable giving championship after championship to the Dodgers? Are you all just completely willing to say, we need a lockout to save us from the Dodgers? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like every owner understands the labor situation and says, okay, Dodgers, keep on spending. We're going to lock these guys out. And when we do, we're cool with losing a season, and we may lose the entire 2027 season. And well, the Dodgers can win 3 in a row. And then like maybe it happens like with the Mets or the Expos rather, excuse me. And they were a great baseball team, but they fell apart because they don't play for a year. And guys go do other things. Guys get older, guys get hurt and whatnot. I don't know. I don't understand it. Tucker is making $60 million a year. Shohei made 70. Is it obscene? Yes, it's obscene. Is it, something that should be scoffed at? I mean, I don't know. They've got Will Smith playing catcher. He's an all-star. They have Freddie Freeman playing first base. He's an all-star. They have Tommy Edmonds, like the one throwing guy playing second base, but he's a utility guy that will play anywhere. Max Muncy playing third. He's an all-star. Mookie Betts at shortstop. He's a multiple MVP all-star. Teoscar Hernandez playing left, all-star. Pages is a guy who played really well last year. He could be an all-star this year. He hasn't been an all-star yet. Kyle Tucker in right is an all-star. And Shohei Ohtani as the DH and starting pitcher for this team is the greatest player of all time. This is an all-time roster. This is something that you would have seen, playing like Ken Griffey Jr. RBI baseball. Like, this is just nonsense. This isn't real. Like, what they have built from a lineup perspective is a joke. The only reason why the Dodgers won't run away with the division is the same thing that happened last year. If they can't pitch or stay healthy with their that was a big freeze. But I mean, you replace Kershaw and you're replacing him with even more talent. I mean, this roster is ridiculous for the Dodgers. And I'm not even angry about it. I think if it was the Yankees, I probably would be more angry. So I think if I was a Giants fan, I'd be mad. But you have Ohtani, Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Sasaki. You got a bullpen that is, still very good. Kirby Yates coming over. I don't know. I'm as frustrated with baseball as I am with every other team that's allowing the Dodgers to do this. And I don't like that the Dodgers are doing this, but teams are spending. We did have this news today. The Mets and Bo Bichette have agreed to a 3-year, $126 million contract, which as a Red Sox fan, seeing him leave the American League is fine by me. Let him go to the Mets. It's a good contract for the Mets. It replaces the Pete Alonso bat that they have lost. So it gives them some extra pop. I think Bo Bichette is a highly underrated player with the way that he played in the playoffs. The home run he hit on the screen, you'll see that was the home run he hit against Shohei Ohtani in the World Series. It injures the American League defending champs in the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'm good with it. Okay. So, I mean, the Red Sox have added one pitcher in Ranger Suarez. I like Ranger Suarez a lot. He's a lefty who eats innings, who has an ERA basically around 3.5, which in today's baseball is really good. So you're pairing him up with the best pitcher in the American League, not named Tariq Skubal. And so you have Crochet and you've got some good talent. The Red Sox pitching staff is really good. I like it a lot, especially if Sonny Gray can keep himself healthy and come into form and maybe improve his ERA a bit. His ERA has been a bit too high the last 2 years for the Cardinals. But if Sonny Gray can pitch decently for the Red Sox, then that's a good, it's an elite starting five. It's the best starting five in the American League. But that offense, I mean, you don't have a bat like the Blue Jays and the Yankees have. Like, you don't have the thumper that you need. And so the Red Sox, in all of my lifetime, they've never played small ball. They've pitched really well, but they've always had like a Manny Ramirez type. They've always had somebody that's going to take advantage of the left field wall. And the Red Sox are going to bank on Roman Anthony being that guy. Yeah. Defensively, they're going to be great. Although I don't know who plays third base. That needs to be fixed. But it's a really weird time. The Red Sox aren't spending. The Yankees aren't spending. The Orioles, The Cubs are kind of spending. They're spending, but kind of. The Mets have spent and lost. So they've spent all this money on Juan Soto, all this money, and they've lost. They haven't played well. They haven't pitched well. So the Mets are like the one thing that the ownership groups are looking at going like, well, I wouldn't want to be the Mets. You're spending all this money. You're paying $90 million plus in taxes, and you sucked last year. So do you want to be them? So you can't just spend, you have to spend wisely. And the Dodgers not only spend well, but they spend wisely. They get the best players and they get the guys that will come in and perform. And they also have redundancies in case players get hurt. They've got guys who can step up and help out. Mookie can play multiple positions. Max Muncy can play multiple positions, right? Guys can move around into the outfield, into, playing second base, shortstop, outfield. Like, they got a really good situation. So I'm fascinated by baseball right now because it is a mess. There's no other way around it. It is an absolute mess. And the Dodgers are just playing the game the way the game's been laid out. And they got players who are willing to defer money to go play in LA, in a major market, in a beautiful state, in a beautiful city, with all sorts of glitz and glamour and things to do. And huge taxes. And dealing with earthquakes and fires and whatnot are all damaging and difficult. But people are willing to do that because of the amount of money the Dodgers are putting on the table. And they are changing the game. The deferred money it's always been there, but nobody has executed it like this. And that is the biggest issue, I think, facing Major League Baseball in the future. Because I would think that the players union loves this. And I would think that other owners hate this and that the Dodgers are out there on their own. It's like the Dodgers and the PA versus the other 29 owners saying, we don't want this to be happening anymore. We got to reel this in. You guys keep on deferring money. You keep on saying we're going to pay you in the future. And the players are okay with it because you have all this money. The Dodgers have so much money and they know they're going to have so much money for a long period of time. They are guaranteeing these contracts. They are putting the money away, putting the money aside. So it's sitting there and it will be given to the player. There's no worry. It was the Bobby Bonilla contract. It was $1 million a year for a long time. It was like 30 years at $1 million. Everybody was like, this is crazy. Well, it's not just 1 million now. It is multiple tens and hundreds of millions that are being deferred into the future. And other teams aren't doing it, just the Dodgers. So that is a really big problem for baseball that could very well lead to a lockout that may not end quickly. It might be a long one coming. We better enjoy this baseball season because I'm not sure we play baseball in 2027. Let's talk about Monday night on a Fight Song Friday. National championship game is Miami and Indiana. The total is set for 47. Look at, we'll get into this Monday and we'll break it all down on Monday, but it is a Fight Song Friday. So to get us tuned up and excited, we'll play the favorites first, then we'll get to Miami, and then we'll get to some storylines. It is and should be the best college football story of my life, but it's not. The reason why it's not is because everyone is so upset about the way that college football is currently being run. Kirk Cignetti in Indiana just figured it out as to how to go and recruit players to get them to come in and buy in with a core nucleus built on where Kirk Cignetti was previously with James Madison. That part of the story, I don't think gets talked about nearly enough, about the players that he took from JMU who understood what it took to win under Kirk Cignetti, who had success under Kirk Cignetti and came in with a belief that, look, I don't care if I played at JMU. I'm coming in here to a Big Ten team. Look what we're going to do. We're going to come here and win, because the confidence of the coach bled down to the confidence in the players, and the players then would go to other players and say, we believe, we know this works, do it. And they have bought in. Then the money showed up. Then the Mark Cubans showed up, and you start being able to pay players. Then you get quarterbacks that play at an obscene level. And now you have the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and the soon to be number 1 pick in the draft. The continuity of Indiana, the story of Kirk Cignetti. This is your Cinderella story. This is a Cinderella story. This is a movie. This is something that everyone who loves college football should be getting behind, but they aren't. And that, I think, is one of the more unfortunate things that have happened because of this, because they didn't just beat Alabama. They embarrassed Alabama. They didn't just go there and win their way here. They dominated their way here. Oregon was never in the football game. That was over at a blink. There was no question. It looked like, I had people texting me going like, is this really Oregon against Indiana? Or is this like Alabama under Nick Saban against like North Alabama? It was such a lopsided win in every facet. Oregon did not belong on the same field as Indiana. Indiana. If we weren't in love with the Indiana story, I think we would all be talking about Miami, because the Miami story is equally crazy. So you have the Indiana story, and it is an amazing story. But the Miami story, being a 10 seed and getting into the playoffs as the last team in, and then having to justify their existence because nobody, me, thought they would win against A&M. They go on the road to College Station to take on one of the best defenses in all of college football with Carson Beck as their quarterback. And I'm thinking there's no way Carson Beck's going to make a huge mistake. Well, give Mario Cristobal a ton of credit, because he basically said, we're not going to allow Carson Beck to hurt us. We're going to play these games like we're, the old school Baltimore Ravens. We're going to run the ball and we're going to play defense. We're going to lean on the defensive line that we all knew going into the year was going to be the strength of Miami. What we didn't talk about enough, because they were playing ACC level caliber competition, and so we didn't put enough stock into it, is that these are dominant defensive players who will all be on Sunday, and they will be a problem in a playoff setting. And so Mario Cristobal deserves a ton of credit for really changing the way Miami played once they got to the playoffs. Because one, they had to get in. I had them in over Notre Dame. They're in the championship game. Like, this is the akin of going from Dayton, Ohio, being in the first 4, going to the final 4. Okay. This is what Miami has done. Just give them a chance. And we have seen teams like this where you give them a chance, they get hot, UCLA or whatnot, and they go all the way to the championship game or all the way to the final 4. The question is, when does the magic run out? The question is, when do they lay the egg that they had at points in times during the regular season? The one thing, if I'm a Miami fan, that gives me a ton of hope about this, we're playing in our home stadium. We're playing at home. We're 20 minutes from campus. This is where we beat Notre Dame. Like, this is like it. Wait, was that game on the road? I can't remember now. It's too long ago, right? But regardless, they had played so many big games at home at Hard Rock Stadium. And this is a, quote, neutral game. So they're not, it's not their pyrotechnics. It's not their environment. It's not, the boxes are not being held up by alumni. It's not a road game for Indiana, but it is the home stadium, and it's 20 freaking minutes from Miami's campus. They're not flying. They're not traveling. They're taking cars and buses. This is a home game routine. While the game is not a home game, it's the home game routine for Miami. That is huge. That is such a big advantage. All the hype and hoopla that goes around a national championship game, they get to sleep in their own beds. They get to be where they normally would be. They're around their friends and their girlfriends and their people. It's a very comfortable environment. Now, it also can work against you because you can somehow, not be focused. It can be a distraction. So it's up to Mario Cristobal and company to keep his team focused on what they need to be focused on. But I think it's really an interesting situation here with Miami being a big dog, a big 8.5, 9-point dog here to Indiana. And the public is betting on Indiana like crazy. And I'm waiting. Okay. I'm waiting. And I know everybody you guys are begging me to bet Indiana. All you Hoosier fans, I've been betting against them all year. You want me in this game to bet against them, and I probably will. And I'm probably going to be sitting there going, what the hell did I do that for? I know this team. I've seen this story. They kill everybody. No one's beating them. And while I don't think Miami's going to beat them, if the game plan holds where Miami can run the football, and that's a big if because that defensive front is so damn good for Indiana. If they can run the football against that front and prevent Carson Beck from having to throw the ball deep, you got to get Malachi Toney involved. Obviously, you got to use his playmaking ability. You got to find ways to get him into space because he's against anybody. That guy's incredible. You got to use him a lot if you're Miami. But if you can run the ball with your two power backs, and if you can get the ball to Toney and keep the chains moving, you got to play an under game. Like you need a low scoring slobber knocker of a football game. Again, I still think Indiana wins that type of game. They just don't win it by 10. They win it by 7. And so once this number crossed 7, the resistance to 8, 8.5 to 9, we just can't keep on growing. I mean, absolutely. That's the game plan. Social Giant, 100%. 100%. That's what you should do. Copy the Iowa game plan. Just stay in the game. Just stay within one score. Try to figure it out. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a difficult matchup. They are expected to get annihilated. This is the number 1 team in the country, right? Indiana, number 1 seed, number 1 team in the country, playing the 10 seed, the last at-large bid team to get in, right? 11 and 12 were, JMU, the former team for Kirk Cignetti. Right? I'm talking about just 11 and 12 were just after Rands. They weren't supposed to Tulane. They weren't supposed to be, both got killed, right? So the last legitimate team to make this field was Miami, and they're facing the number 1 team. The number 1 team. I get it. Indiana fans think this is going to be a rout. Indiana fans are confident that this is not going to be a game. I don't agree. But I've been wrong all year. I've been dead wrong about with Miami. I've been betting against Miami in these playoffs. I've been betting against Indiana. I got both teams who I don't think are worthy, or from a betting perspective, that they would be there, and they're here. So now what do I do? The best thing for me to do is not bet the game. Like just watch the game, because clearly I've not been good this year in college football. But 8.5 points in a national championship game with Miami being in Miami, I don't know. That seems to be too heavy to me. Like that's a big number. And I think it's simply because of what Indiana has done in their last 2 games against Alabama and Oregon. And while that's really impressive, you got another win to go. You got to win one more game. How much of the flowers has this team been taking on? I mean, the Heisman curse has not shown up. Does it show up in the national championship game? I don't know. But Mendoza is minus 7,000 to be the first pick in the draft for this reason, because he's played incredibly well the entire playoffs. Is Miami the defense that makes him look mortal? I don't know. That's a big I don't know. If you start breaking this down by group by group, I'm going to struggle to find much where Miami's better than Indiana, except for the defensive line for Miami against the offensive line for Indiana, and that's not a big Miami plus. Like, Indiana's not that far behind. Miami's best unit is their defensive front, but Indiana's offensive line maul people. Like, they maul people. If you're with us live, don't move. More on this and a couple other things we will get to before we wrap the week. If you guys are on the replay crew, thank you for watching. We appreciate you guys being here. Fight Song Friday is always a lot of fun. We're back on Monday to recap the NFL and to preview more of Miami, Indiana for the national championship game. Excuse me. Bonus time for you guys who are live right now. So, yeah, they do have big-ass linemen. That's true. Indiana's are big. So, I doubted the Pacers, and I was right. Pacers lost. You can talk about the injury all you want, but I doubted the Pacers, and they lost. Remember, this is about winning championships, not getting there. You got to win. I think Indiana wins. I do. I just don't think they cover. Like, I think if I'm, if this number comes down, like, again, if we go back to 7, we're not going to, but if we got back down to 7, if big money came in on Miami, I would take Indiana. I would lay 7 with Indiana. I think that's a fine, one score, 7 points. I'm comfortable laying that. I'm just not comfortable laying 8.5 or 9. And I don't think that this has been one-way traffic. We talked to yesterday to Adam Bjorn about this. It's been one-way traffic all on Indiana. And I think when you start seeing numbers like that, you start seeing all sorts of things happen in a national championship game setting. I think there's just some level that can be, Cristobal uses everything for motivation, and his dudes he's recruited dudes, like dudes. And it's fun for a guy like Pat McAfee because Pat is really close with both programs. Like him and Mario Cristobal, there's all sorts of content out there on the sidelines of McAfee, fist bumping and high fiving and chest bumping with Mario Cristobal after the victories. He's appearing on McAfee's show like crazy. And obviously McAfee is a monster Hoosier, right? In Indianapolis, played for the Colts. He might be from West Virginia and played for West Virginia, but he's a Pittsburgh native guy, right? And yet he lives in Indiana, in Indianapolis, and really identifies with most of the Hoosier folks. So now who is he cheering for? Miami or Indiana? Pat's got kind of a unique spot here in all of this as to what these coaches will look for, because Cignetti wants Pat on his side. He's doing a whole wink thing to Pat on the sidelines, just like giving him a whole bro nod. And yet Cristobal is sitting there dropping different things about what he's going to do to different games and telling Pat, watch this, So it is interesting to see how this all is going to unfold. And I know the college football world is going to be watching this, but you need the casuals to pay attention and watching the national championship game, because it has been the argument that those people in power have made to keep the little guy out of the NCAA tournament, out of the college football playoffs. Because when we get to the championship game, you're expecting the Blue Bloods. You're expecting a brand name that hangs national championship banners. It's been over 20 years since Miami hung a national championship banner, and Indiana hasn't even sniffed this rarefied air ever. They've never come close. They are the laughingstock. They are the Patriots of the 80s and the 90s. And this is the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Difference was Pats were big dogs to the Rams, but here are the Hoosiers as big favorites in their game. But the analogy is similar. We're changing everyone's opinion. The Patriots, you talk to a 25-year-old, it's fuck the Patriots. We hate them. We hate everything about them. All they do is win. Okay. Somebody my age goes, what are you talking about? They had the worst record in the NFL in the 80s and the 90s. They were embarrassing. The entire franchise was a laughingstock. They were the whipping boy of the NFL. Nobody took them seriously ever. Same thing with Indiana. Okay. No one took this program seriously. Nobody thought this program would ever be anything. This is a basketball school. And really, to be frank, they haven't been a basketball school for 20 years. You got to go back to, it's been a long time since Coach Knight walked around, and they've gone through coach after coach after coach, and they can't do anything. Yes, Ish, there's a lot of people that are now jumping on the bandwagon. That's true. I will tell you that the guys in our chat, though, the most vocal Indiana people in our chat are legit Hoosiers. They live there. They're Indiana fans. Like, they've been there. And we got a bunch of them. I mean, we have a lot of people who are either from Indiana, who are Hoosier fans, who have been a part of the program, been a part of the brigade, who have been at live shows, who I've sat and talked to about their history, and I can vouch for them. They are legit. They're not Johnny-come-latelys. They're not bandwagon fans. But there are a lot of people who are now Indiana fans, which, as by evidence, the enrollment, the application to go to school at Indiana over the last 3 seasons has exploded because people now know about Indiana. This is why sports are the front porch of any university, any college. It's why they play sports. It's why I went to UMass. I went to UMass because of Coach John Calipari. I wanted to go. In high school, I would watch UMass Minutemen games on TV. And at the time, during my senior year, UMass won 4 consecutive A10 tournament titles and 4 consecutive A10 regular season titles. And then my freshman year, they go to the Final Four and they lost to Kentucky. Calipari then left and went to the NBA, and everything went to shit after that. But for my high school years, UMass won every A10 title that was available, both regular season and tournament. UMass won. And the Mullen Center became the rocking place that everybody wanted to be. And I was like, shit, I want to go to school there. And I was recruited to go play soccer for Emerson College, not the guy, in Boston. I was recruited to play at UMass Dartmouth. I was recruited to play at Suffolk. I was recruited to play at like 5 schools that all wanted me to come there. And I all looked at their comm programs and their journalism programs. And Emerson was really close. I was either UMass or Emerson. And I was going to play soccer, D3, but I was going to play soccer. And I was going to go and become a broadcasting major at Emerson. And I went to UMass on a visit. I went to Emerson on a visit, and I met kids, and the kids that took my tour at UMass, I asked them, how soon did you get on the air? And the kid said to me, whenever you want to get on the air. It's a student-run radio station, and if you are good and you work hard, you can get on the air as fast as you want. I went to Emerson. WERS is a professional station run by students. And I asked the kid that was taking me on my tour, he was a soccer player who was an all-comm major, so I thought it was a good idea. And so he's like, how early did you get on the air? And he said, you should get on the air by your senior year, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get on the air because, that's a highly coveted spot. Everybody wants to be on WERS because it's a 50,000 watt flamethrower station in Market 8. Everybody wants that, so it's hard to get on. And I said, well, what about sports broadcasting? And they said, well, we don't broadcast sports ever on WERS. No, we don't do that. We sometimes carry the basketball games occasionally. At UMass, they put the men's basketball, the women's basketball, the men's lacrosse, all on the FM station, 92.1 FM WMUA. And that's what led me to go to UMass. I was like, okay, I have sports, I have success, I have a big school, I can get on the air. I'm going to UMass. And so kids are doing the same thing with Indiana. There's high school kids right now. They're trying to figure out what school do they want to go to? Where do they want to spend their college years? And they're like, Kirk Cignetti's going to make $12.5 million a year. He's not going anywhere as long as Mark Cuban is writing checks. And we're going to be right here atop the college football world or near it for a long time. And so enrollment and applications to go to school in Indiana are through the roof. That is what happens. That is what happens when your athletic program has a dominant program in football or men's basketball. And it's why they pay. It's why Kirk Ferentz is the highest paid player or the highest paid person in the state of Iowa. Okay. Because of what he's built at Iowa. And so he's worth way more than what they pay him because kids want to go to school at Iowa. And they want to go to watch football games on Saturday because they're diehard Hawkeye fans. Their dads, their brothers, their grandfathers, they're all diehard Hawkeye fans. And so they want their football program to be good. And so you, as a state-run institution, can pay a coach $10 million a year and no one's going to freak out about it because they're worth way more than that. especially with what the overall cost of going to college is these days. You're lucky if it's $50,000 a year. So each one of those kids could be worth $200,000. And you're talking about thousands of them trying to go to school because of what the football program has built. So that really is where Indiana is as a sports, as a team and a university, and why paying Kirk Cignetti $12.5 million is a bargain, is an absolute bargain as terms of what he's actually worth to the university. He's worth 5 to 20 times that, basically, okay, with how many kids want to go to school. They'll start to raise up tuition prices. They'll raise up cost of living. Like, they'll just slowly increment it all because kids are paying, and the supply and demand situation will dictate it. And so Miami is always a really fun place to go to school, but Miami football being good, I mean, come off of it. You know how many kids right now in high school are looking at University of Miami now and going, I want to go to school in South Florida? How many out-of-state kids? I mean, they're a big out-of-state school anyway. And so it's an expensive school. It's a rich kid school. And now I want to go to school down there to go watch Miami football with Mario Cristobal if they're going to be good. They paid Cam Ward $5 million a year. They're paying $4 million a year for Carson Beck. I'm not sure who's quarterbacking next year, but I'm sure they're paying big money for whoever they're going to take as a quarterback next year. And that's just how Miami's going to roll. They're just going to roll it over every year, more and more money to the quarterback. And it's money well spent because the more they win, the more people will pay attention. And then the alumni come back. Cam Ward being on the sidelines on Monday night is going to be a big deal, right? You got Cam Ward. You got the number one pick in the draft, quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, is going to be part of this, alumni group for Miami. That sells tickets, and it puts kids into a position where they want to go to school at Miami. So that's how we're changing college football. We're changing, college in America in a lot of ways by what these schools are doing. Both Miami and Indiana are both incredible stories, just absolutely incredible stories. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see how it all plays out coming up on Monday. Favorite thing about today? It's pretty simple for me with my favorite thing about today. Saturday, Sunday, Monday is upon us. We get through tonight. There's some good college basketball games tonight. I did just the picks on football because of the games, but good college basketball games tonight. Got Baylor, Kansas tonight. Got Creighton, Providence tonight. Got some good games on TV tonight in college basketball. So smart work by the guys scheduling to kind of look at this and go, okay, wait, football's Monday, NFL Saturday, Sunday. Let's book some Friday night basketball and take advantage of it, because Friday night games on campus, whew, that's a party. That's a drunk fest. That's pregame, go to the game, party after the game. A lot of fun. KU will be a fun place to be tonight. For Fog Island, in particular, what they just did to Iowa State last game. Baylor, KU was at last look, KU was 7.5 point favorites against Baylor tonight, but that's a fun game in the Big 12. We got here, right? My favorite thing about today is that I'm getting here. We're going to post some stuff. We're going to get ready. And then I'm headed to the supermarket. I'm going to plan out 2 days worth of eating. As I said, I'm going to the gym on Saturday and Sunday mornings because I fully anticipate to be eating and drinking and having this is the swan song. This is it. Okay. This is the end. We will not have a weekend like this until September, and it's currently January. Okay. That's a long winter, spring, and summer that's going to be upon us before we get this again. And I love next weekend. Sunday's a lot of fun. Okay. Sunday's cool. But we don't get the 3-day smorgasbord of 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, single elimination, and then a national championship game coming up on Monday. Enjoy it. Be safe. Have a good time. Monday, we're back to recap it all and then preview the Monday night football game, the championship game on Monday night between Miami and Indiana. Monday, fun episode of BVB. Hope to see you all back then.